Okay, so this is a completely unscripted, unplanned video on another YouTuber. And I'm talking about my good friend Vagan and what he's been doing recently. In fact, not recently, for the last 10 months. And a few things that he's been talking about, which I think is extremely important to us and especially for professional photographers, people who depend on photography as the only or the major source of income. I'm referring to Vagan speaking about the value of photographers and the photography as a profession and as a service, and the labor and the mind that someone puts in to create, to offer that service to the clients, right? So recently he I think yesterday he uploaded a video um, on this millionaire lawyer who kind of almost you can say devalued photographers in general, and how he decided to not take up the job, and he said, I don't want your money. And why I think that's a great stance. And but not only that, he's been really talking about why you should never undercut someone else by underpricing yourself and therefore undervaluing yourself. He's been talking about why it is very important to raise photography prices, your fees, because nothing is getting cheaper, and every other service around you, they're increasing the money. So is there an oversupply? Is the intrinsic value of photography going down, or is that something that we think, some photographers tend to think that the value of photography is going down? And I'm going to talk about and use an example from advertising. See, I've been working in the advertising industry for about 15 years now. Now, in the last 1.5 decades, I have seen the digital media grow. So, what has happened with traditional advertising like television and print and outdoor advertising is that today in the world of digital media, they're in a position, they are constantly trying to justify their value. They're constantly trying to tell the client that they're important too. So, what's been happening is that the advertising agencies like JWT, Ogilvy, Lintas, this big so many years old advertising agencies like FCB Ulka, they are now in this, their only strategy now is discounting. And when discounting is your strategy, you're essentially signaling that your value is growing less. Yeah, and therefore it's no strategy at all. And when an industry consistently discounts itself, what happens is that clients know that the service providers themselves feel that there is not enough value that they're offering, and that is dangerous. It's only going to kill the industry off. It's going to make it difficult for everyone who's trying to make a living out of it. And I think it is the perception of value that gets impacted every time when a photographer goes and says, basically whenever he takes shit or she takes shit, whenever he or she says, okay, doesn't matter what price you I'm okay with any price. The moment you're okay with any price, any cost, the moment you don't sort of you lose the ability to say no, then you will be taken for granted. And then imagine there are 10 guys in the market, you'll be constantly fighting each other in terms of costs. Because you're fighting on cost, now you look at your input cost. You're going to reduce the money you spend for your camera, for your lights, for other resources, right? For the editing services, you'll probably not hire a good editing service. You'll probably try and do it yourself and not do it well. And probably you're going to spend all of your time doing that and not doing photography or looking for a client. A very similar thing is happening with the advertising industry. For example, what's happening right now is that instead of asking for more money, they're saying, we're going to give you more services, we're going to do more for you, we'll do proactive work for you, and but it's okay, we're not going to charge you for those things. It's very similar to that what the millionaire lawyer was asking of Vagan. He asked him to also do a photo shoot for the house, right? Architectural photography. And Vagan said yes finally, but he was not very happy about it, but he said yes. So what happens when you do that is that you take the pressure of more work, but your resources are not increasing, because in fact, because you're making less money, your resources are decreasing. right? So in the advertising industry, what's happening right now, they can't hire the highest quality talent. They can't hire talent from the best business schools anymore, or the best art schools anymore. And at the same time, they're not hiring enough number of talent, right? So what's happening is that there are not enough people, and then there are not enough good people. But then you're over promising the client that, "Hey, I'm going to do everything for you," and you'll never be able to live up to the expectations of the client. So the industry will implode. And if you follow the same model here in photography, this profession will implode. It will not be sustainable. Look, in the world of smartphones, a lot of people are going to start thinking that I don't need a photographer. The phones are good enough. It is important to understand that that's not the market, therefore. That is not a photography market, therefore. There are going to be people who are not going to bother with, capturing themselves. They're not going to ask a friend to shoot a few videos and a few pictures with their iPhones, because the people who do that are not your market. If you go and try and take their business, they're not going to pay you enough money, and you're not going to make enough money, and they're not going to treat you well. Most importantly, I think that's the most important thing. When you come at a discount, clients don't treat you well, and my 1.5 decades experience tells me that, and it has never been anything but that. I have never seen a client value an advertising agency when that advertising agency is cheap. And the guys who are very expensive, even if they added nothing in a meeting, they're still treated better. It's just the way the world works. If you can't say no, therefore you're allowing that guy to treat yourself like not in a very pleasant way. They're not going to respect you. We should all develop the ability to say no. Yes, it means going through the list of potential clients and maybe saying no to 50% of them. But that's fine, because you'll probably be wasting your energy and your time, and you'll probably not focus on creating better work. You'll focus on creating cheaper work, and that's dangerous. And I'll tell you what's a fine. If it goes on, I'll tell you what the world will look like. If the profession becomes unviable, then only some people will do it, right? Only a few people will do it. The number of professional photographers in the world will shrink. When that market shrinks, what we'll be left with is only the hobbyist photography world. And in a mostly hobby photographer world, because there is not enough numbers now, the camera manufacturers will start making, because they have to recover the cost for developing new tech and new products. They'll end up making products that are extremely expensive. Imagine a world full of Leicas and nothing else, and you have no options at all, because companies are not making as many numbers of cameras or lenses, and therefore they'll have to recover all the money from less number of products, and therefore the unit price of all these cameras and lenses and all of the equipment, they're going to go up. They're going to shoot up. So the only way out of that is to ensure that there is a healthy industry that's constantly buying gear, right? And when that happens, there are more people interested in becoming photographers, because now photography pays you well and people treat you well. So there are two ways you can do this. There is for any company. You either play the volume game or you play the value game. Now, in the volume game, you do a lot of work, you produce a lot of material, a lot of goods and services, but you sell them cheap. It's like mass marketing. But in the value business, when you play the value game, you create premium services, you create premium products, and you know that the market is shrinking, but at the same time premiumizing, as in people with more money now look for stories and images coming out of not an iPhone, but a real camera that looks professional, that looks once in a lifetime, right? When that happens, you play a completely different game, because you'll make more money out of those 5 clients in a year or 10 clients. I'm just saying Imagine a number of clients that's 50% of your client present client list when you have cut the junk out, right? So you're left with only that meaty 50%, but you have all that time left for yourself. You can go out and do other things, pursue other avenues of creating income for yourself, right? At the same time, whenever you go for the value clients, for the value market, for the value business, what's going to happen is that you're going to create much better work. Your focus, because you're asking for much better monies right now, you will now focus on creating better work, and you'll work less. At the same time, you create more value for yourself and for your client. And when that happens, young people will look at you and say, okay, maybe this is a great career choice and I want to be this. I want to become someone like you, right? And they will want to be photographers. And now that is a kind of healthy cycle of influence that we need today in this industry. And that is why I think what Vagan is doing, and I really want him to keep doing this. What he's talking about, the conversations that he's been building, creating, I think is the most valuable conversation right now in the entire photography YouTuber or YouTube photography world. So if you understand why this is important, and if you've heard me so far, I want you to sort of echo it. I want you to say that, go to his comment section, write it in his comments. Say why you need these conversations to go on more. Because look, he's reaching out to more photographers, right? He's reaching out to photographers. I am reaching out to probably some photographers. And when thousands of photographers listen to us, they wake up to this truth. They wake up to this fundamental understanding of how the world works, right? I'm sure many of you understand this, but it's very important to keep the conversation alive on this, because it's very easy to lose focus and just say yes to a bad client, yes to a cheap client, and we should not be doing that. And therefore, what I urge you to do is to echo this sentiment, to echo this conversation, and to magnify these conversations. So I want you to comment what you think here in my comment section. I want you to say these things, write these things to Vagan and share your thoughts with him. And I want you to probably request him to continue this conversation, create more videos. Then I want you to probably go and knock the other guys, the bigger YouTube channels, and tell them, hey guys, do you understand how important this is? Why don't you talk about it more regularly? Because then you're reaching out to so many. You're reaching out to maybe someone with a 1 million reach. That person is reaching out to the entire world of photographers, right? The photographers from every corner of the world. The reason I'm talking about it is because I see clear value in what he's talking about, and I see how it is extremely important for the future of not only photographers and professional photographers, but also for general hobbyists, new learners, enthusiasts. Because if cameras become prohibitive in cost, they all become like us, and they're already becoming expensive, right? You can already see the price trend. Then unfortunately it won't be practical for a lot of young people to pick a camera up, and that's sad. That would be really sad. Because frankly, a phone is a phone. I know a lot of people just look at the back camera and say, no, it works. It does work, but photography is not only about the end result. Much like painting or singing, it's about how it makes you feel. Yes, you can sing and record that and listen to your own voice, but nothing can replace the experience, the feeling that you felt when you're singing, the feeling that you felt when you're dancing. If you're a professional singer and professional dancer, what you felt when you were painting that particular painting, if you're a professional painter. Because yes, there is a process, there is some tool, and you create something, the end result, but that experience is very important. I don't think you get the same experience and feeling by photographing with a phone. It doesn't matter how much better these phones become, because these phones are phones, they're smart devices. And whenever you hear someone, and this is not Sony bashing at all, but a lot of people talk about Sony as a tool, as just a machine, not as something that they connect with as they relate with, and i- somewhere it lacks that emotional connection, and that's what I'm talking about. So we don't want a world where young people only have left they're only left with some nice phones to photograph things with. I think cameras, the industry should flourish again, and they should become viable for more number of people. And I'm going to talk about why how Nikon is completely not present in the entry level market, and why it's very important for a player, for an important brand like Nikon to be present there. It's sad because you shouldn't have to pay $1,000 to pick up a new camera. You should the entry price point should be somewhere around 550 and or 600 US dollars. So this is an important conversation, guys, and I think I've spoken enough. So yeah, if you like this video, do like this video, and if you think that there are good conversations going, just check the other videos out in my channel. If you're new to the channel, I talk a lot about Nikon, street photography. I talk a lot about Fuji. I've got the XE4 recently. I was very confused, but I got the XC4 finally. I bought this one and not the XS10. I'll tell you why I got the XC4 in the next video. See you very soon.